How did you become a member of the 82nd Airborne?
All right. Well, I owe a lot of my decision to a former boss of mine that I had right out of high school. Um, I tried college right out of high school and I wasn't too hip on it. I did a semester at a community college here in Philadelphia. But then I went to work as a laborer for an iron worker, and I learned how to, you know, build structural steel buildings and all the way down to, wrought iron railings. He was a Vietnam veteran. And
Okay.
he was with the 101st Airborne Division, um, so he actually used me as an outlet during that time when we were together to tell me a lot of stories that had happened to him while he was in Vietnam, which was an unbelievable experience in itself. Um, but he told me the rivalry between 101st and 82nd. So when I made the choice, I made sure that I went oppose the 101st and joined the
Okay.
82nd, just to give him a
Yeah.
little, a little nudge.
Nice. Man. So what's the rivalry about? Is it bitter rivalry? Is it more for those that don't know, can you explain the rivalry?
Sure. Sure, 101st, and they're called the Screaming Eagles. They are air assault, not airborne. They repel from helicopters.
Okay.
82nd, we jump from everything that flies, including helicopters and Chinooks and stuff like that. So that's the difference. They call themselves airborne, but are they really airborne, or are they just like dopes on a rope? And that's the going thing. Um, so it's been that way for as long as I can remember. Um, so it's just something that goes back and forth. We both commend each other for what we do, but we just
For
do it
sure.
differently.
For sure. No, no, no. Thank you for your service.
Sure.
Because I know that there's different branches like Army, Air Force, Navy, and stuff like that. Is it pretty clicky? Is it pretty like we Army guys? It's kind of like we don't really commingle. Like we're all here for the same thing, but it's kind of like in football, it's like O line hangs out with the O line. It's like the DBs in the corners are over here, receivers over here, quarterbacks. Is it kind of somewhat clicky like that?
It is in a way. So the Army works more with the Air Force, and the Marines work more with the Navy.
Okay.
So within just that community aspect, we generally tend to gravitate towards the Air Force as Army, and then, like I said, the Navy and Marines gravitate towards each other. But
Right.
within each branch, yeah, we kind of hold ourselves in different standards. If you don't hold any tabs, and that's airborne tab or air assault, we call them legs. So they just walk everywhere they go.
Okay.
And that's an ongoing thing too that has been forever in the military.
Nice. Give me 1 second. I'm kind of going through some technical difficulty. Did I do it? Okay. Here we go. All right, we're good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
I hear you loud and clear.
Mhm.
Move pen. There we go. Okay, now we got it. So this one. Did you always have military aspirations?
I didn't actually until I worked with that fella. His name is Walter Massinger. I hope he doesn't mind mentioning his name.
Shout out to
Um,
you.
but he was an 11 Bravo, which in infantry, and he was a long range reconnaissance soldier. So he went out before everybody else to recon the jungle to ensure that it was okay for everyone else to come through. So
And,
so you can imagine some of the stories that I heard amongst our travels.
and that was in Vietnam.
That was in Vietnam.
Oof,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
I know they always make that joke that he's that guy. I said, yeah, that's
yeah.
that's literally that guy. 1,000%. In the military, what were your daily duties and what do they consist of typically in your branch?
Um, due to my job being a combat role, if we weren't out training in the field, and that usually was between 30 and 50 days, I want to say. Anywhere between that time frame, we are out training. When we are back in the rear, back on base, we're doing everyday responsibilities that you would think, that a civilian would do: cutting grass, making sure
Mhm.
that the base looks tidy and neat. Obviously, Fort Bragg is the home of the airborne, and they hold their standards pretty high. So, ridiculous stuff that you would see anywhere, stripping floors of the wax and re-waxing floors. But when we are out training, we did some heavy duty stuff, jumping in at night, and my job was a 13 Fox, which is a forward observer. So I called for airstrikes and mortar fire,
Mm.
just in case things went awry. So my job was very, very important when it came to navigation and reading maps. So it was very important that we paid attention every time we were out in the field, to ensure that not only was I navigating the infantry the right way, but I was keeping track and ensuring that I knew the grid coordinates to any enemy activity.
Huh? Wow, that's insane. I think it's funny, not in a hot sense, but I think we tend to see people who are in these high positions, like you guys, like in these positions that, you know, uh, in the army and things like that. And you see guys and they're like, most people would think of it like mundane actions, like, oh, like they only scrub the floors. They only do this all the time. I remember, I forget who the guy was, but I remember him saying something to the effect was like, if you want to change the world, make up your bed every single day. That has
Yeah,
been something to do. It's not like when they say every single day, I don't care if you're late. I don't care if you're in a hotel. I don't care if you're staying at a friend's house. Maybe you're not at your house every single day. I don't care if you have the flu every single day, and how holding yourself accountable to that small thing just is like people want to change the world. Like, can you even just every single day? Just
yeah,
like, and I was like, even that alone, dude, that has been such uh that has been such a game changer for me, just in the sense of discipline. I think Michael Jordan also said it too. He was like, people see me in my position, but they don't understand as a leader, there's nothing that's nothing that's below you. If you want everyone else to follow you, you have to be willing to set that standard to say, hey, there's nothing that's below me. If I got to get down and dirty and be the example for every single person in my company, my team, my platoon in your case, it has to follow that. It can be no other way. Otherwise, people won't respect that, man. It's almost like they'll do it just enough just so you won't yell at them or get in trouble. But
yeah.
that's 1,000%.
Speaking
But
of leadership and respect, there is an acronym that the Army goes by called leadership, and it
okay.
is it is the seven pillars of life. In my case, I try to implement this at work with my patients, which is loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. If you implement those seven pillars of life, you'll be able to succeed in any aspect that you are trying to set forth and succeed at.
Wow. That's a hell of a that is a hell of an acronym. Has there ever been a time? I know the training's rigorous for what you used to do. Was there ever a time um, going through the training where you thought it's like, man, I'm giving everything I got, but I don't know if I'm going to make it through this? Was there ever a time where that it was like that for you?
Yeah, believe it, the first 3 or 4 weeks in basic training probably is the most difficult aspect, um, just because of the unnatural nature of being with people from all over the country and not having your inner support system or
Mm-hmm.
any of your friends or family. Um, you are restricted to phone calls for the first few days. And then you get maybe one phone call for 10 minutes after the first week. And then it gets, a little more flexible, but not being able to have that, just hearing someone on the other line And I got a lot of mail, which is great too, but
Hmm.
hearing another person on the other end was probably the most difficult. Um, and then as you start to make friends, things obviously get easier because you can start to depend on each other. Um, and I have a handful of solid friends from all over the country that I went through basic training, individual training, AIT, jump school, and then also went to Bragg together. So we pretty much followed each other through our whole career, and still maintain a pretty close friendship, even though we're scattered amongst the ends of the United States.
Wow, that's great. You were stationed in Fort Bragg in North Carolina, correct?
Correct. That was my first duty station, but I've been all over the place.
What other, where else have you been stationed?
So my first place was Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Okay.
Then I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. Then to Fort Bragg. After Bragg, I was only there for a month, and then I got a TDY, which is a temporary duty station in England. And
Uh,
I spent 6 months training with the British paratroopers there. Also earned my British jump wings, which is pretty cool. That was probably the best time that I've ever had in my life in England. Fantastic country,
mhm.
fantastic people, highly recommended.
Okay.
If you can get there, get there. But I also have been to Iceland, Canada, Korea, Japan. I've been all over.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to the UK. Being on this side of things, how do you look back at your time in the 82nd Airborne? How do you look at it now?
So if I could go back and do things differently,
Hmm.
I would do a few things differently. I would probably pick the Air Force, not the Army. They take care of you a little bit better as far
Okay.
as being within the military. They have more job offers that translate to civilian lifestyle. So that transition
Right.
from, soldier
Hmm.
to civilian is a lot easier. I unfortunately picked a combat job, which is even more difficult to translate to civilian lifestyle.
Yep.
Um, and because of the disabilities that occurred during my time being in a combat job and jumping out of everything that flew,
Hmm.
I probably would not have picked either of those. I would have picked an easier job. I
Hmm.
probably would have stayed my ass on the ground
Yeah.
and not jumped out of airplanes because I suffered some pretty traumatic injuries from jumping out of these crafts.
What were some, I know this must be difficult to talk about, but what were some of the injuries that you sustained?
Sure. Just at the time that I was at Bragg, I suffered three major concussions, which
Oof.
in turn turned into a traumatic brain injury. Um,
Yeah.
that's what probably holds me back the most.
Oh,
But I'm still working on it, still, getting there. I've graduated college, so I know
great.
that I'm cognitively there. But physically, at 49, I already have both my hips replaced.
Ooh.
First hip took place when I was 35. A lot of surgeons were very apprehensive about even doing it. Um, but I forced them because I was in so much pain. And then I have a rod in the tibia, plate on my fibula, plate on my wrist, broke my jaw in two places, broke my elbow. Yeah, a lot of stuff went on, and as a result, in all those head injuries, I suffer from post concussion epilepsy now,
Oh,
um,
wow.
which is probably the most daunting atmosphere. Trying to maintain and keep that at a um, consistent, typical level for people that suffer from epilepsy.
Wow. Yeah, I came because I come from the MMA world, and think I've had two. But just one thing I can't even do to this day, it's like I can't actually hit pads. I can't hold the pads. I feel I'm acutely aware of the pressure in the front of my skull. And I might be able to do it a couple of times. But once I start going, it's like, okay, I might not feel anything. I can feel that pressure on hours and hours. But I
Yeah.
had one. Thankfully, I didn't go unconscious, but it messed with my speech. Uh, I remember just staring at a door one time when that happened, and I was just like, I couldn't put it together. I was like, I know what this is, but I couldn't. I was just like, I couldn't remember, and I knew. The long story short, how I knew I had a concussion was because I came back from sparring, and I just had an idea. I'd take an Uber, just probably the best idea, just after you've been getting punched in the head. And I remember looking at the leaves blow in the wind and the cars go by, and I started to get really nauseous. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And I remember saying, okay, I'm going to go home, just watch some TV. It's probably get better. I remember looking at the TV, all of the faces, they looked really weird. And I started to get really nauseous. And I'm like, okay. I was just constantly overstimulated. And I'm like, yeah, I think I might have fucked up here. But yeah, man, to all the people with concussions, man, if I could get on my soapbox and talk about this for 5 hours, please avoid concussions. I mean,
Yeah.
I would literally rather break. It is some of the most debilitating things you're going to deal with. Literally having to sit in a room like you can't do any. I wouldn't. I don't wish concussions on people, but that's
And,
yeah. It is. Oof. Yeah, it's no joke out here. So the epilepsy is that literally in your day to day life. What trick is it? Just flashing lights? Is that what
um,
sends the trickler?
I am not light sensitive, so
Okay.
that's not an issue. The only time that I ever have any problems is if I just miss any med doses.
Okay.
The epilepsy was diagnosed back in 2011. I fell out of bed, and luckily my wife is a nurse, and she saw what was going on, called 911, went to the hospital. They realized that I had had a seizure. I went to the epilepsy monitoring unit, stayed there for 7 days, and they watched me. I had six seizures. They were pushing for seizures to monitor where they were coming from.
Right.
And I had six. Luckily, after quite a few years of juggling through different medications, they finally found a cocktail that worked. I've been a little over 2 years seizure free now.
Great. It's great to
But again, it's that constant fear of reaching the top milligram of a dose, and then the fear of changing to another drug and having another seizure. So that's the only thing that really is um, disheartening, is knowing
Mhm.
that there will be constant med changes throughout the rest of my life in order to maintain a typical lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. The brain injuries, man. I don't know if you ever heard of there's a guy named Gary Goodrich, and he used to fight, I think in the original UFC or Pride or something. And this dude's about 6'3", 260, 270. And that was back in the days where they would fight. You fight one guy, you win that night, you come back, fight three times
Yeah.
one night.
Mhm.
And he's just a huge dude. He's a nice guy, but he's just, so many hits to the head. And I remember one of the reporters saying, wow, you take all of these pills. He's like, what are those for? He was like, those are the pills that I take that make me not want to beat you. And that's like, woo, like the mental stability ones. And I'm like,
Mhm.
man, you see it. And there's a lot of stuff that unfortunately we do watch. We love football. We like to watch fights, but there's kind of no way around it, man. You're taking every time that brain rattles around, man. Some people can avoid it, but there are horror stories of people like the wrestler, what was it Chris Benoit?
Yeah.
So yeah, again, that's my way of saying on the soapbox, man. People, if you can avoid concussions, man, for the life of me, I can't say stress this enough. Take care of your brain if you can. So, are there any regrets in your service? Do you regret it at all because of the injuries? because of the
Um,
disabilities?
no, the only thing that I regret is that I wasn't there more for my fellow comrades at the end of my service. You know what I mean? When we started to separate and people started getting deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, and everybody went their different ways. You have a bit of remorse,
Mhm.
especially if you start losing some of those people that you were around for so long. Um, and you feel guilty in a way, like, man, I should have been there, or the roles should have been reversed because you were such a better leader and better
Mhm.
person than I was. I had a really good friend that I, played hockey with. His name is Thomas Kennedy. He grew up in New York, and I grew up in Philadelphia. Um, he was my captain at the time, and we parted ways after I separated from the military, and he went back to Afghanistan as a major, and unfortunately did not come home. Um, the very difficult part of that is he shares the day of my wife's birthday,
Oof.
the day that he died. So it is a very difficult day for me to celebrate because of the two things that happened. And I didn't know my wife at the time. So,
Mhm.
this is the brace. I wear this everywhere I go. It never comes off. Even if I can go through surgery, I try to tell them not to take it off of me. Um, but that day, I just try to give all my thanks and all my credit to everything that I learned.
Mhm.
And I just thank him that I made it back here and able to, help other people with every piece of advice that he's given me throughout the time that we were together.
Great.
He pushed me to go back to college.
Really?
I started
Wow.
going back to college at the end of my time when we were into Korea, when we were Korea together. He said, if you want to excel and if you really want to do well in life, you need to get yourself an education and go back to school. It took me a little longer to take his advice, but I eventually did use the benefits from the VA, and graduated with a bachelor's in psychology.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations, man.
yeah, thank you.
That's a hell of a story. It's beautiful. Do you feel that all that you went through in the combat, do you think that was a main catalyst in wanting to be a mental health worker, to be in that field, or had you already thought of that beforehand?
I actually, my intentions were to go back to school and be an eye doctor.
Oh, wow.
I thought about how difficult it would be just sitting in the office all day asking people, can you read the top line? Can you read the
Mhm.
bottom line?
Right, right.
Cover the right eye, cover the left eye. And then I really thought about what I wanted to do and what I was struggling with the most, and that was my mental health.
Mhm.
So I wanted to learn more about how I can improve my mental health through education. And then after I was through, how I can use my education and experience to help other people that are struggling either with depression, anxiety, hypervigilance, suicidal ideations, whatever it may be. Um, that's what I feel as if I was put here to do now. I don't ever feel bad about going to work. I don't
That's
ever
great.
wake up and go, man, I really wish I didn't work at this hospital.
Mhm.
I don't ever walk onto a unit and go, man, another
Yeah.
patient back again. And what am I not doing that they're not getting it? I love what I do, and it took a long time for me to figure it out.
Mhm. I love that, man. That is awesome. Again, congratulations to you. But definitely on the topic of mental health, man, especially, it's not to say that this isn't for the women too, but there's always been, I think, a struggle, especially for young men, you know, dealing with emotions, uh, how we process the world and stuff. And I bring this up because mental health awareness, I've had a friend who's took his own life at 24. Uh, you just think of things, what you could do. You know, there's a lot of people hurting. It's always been that way, but just I really admire people who get into the mental health field that really care. Um, that are really there that feel called to do it, man. I can't thank you guys enough. Uh, it definitely means the world, man. I think, I don't want to use the whole adage of heroes and stuff, but I definitely give my hats off to you and everyone who chooses to do so for the right reasons, man. And that we don't have enough of you. So I would like to say thank you. And it segues into my next question. What is your official title in the mental health world?
Sure, I am a psychoeducational therapist and
Nice,
nursing wellness therapist.
nice,
Yeah. So during the week, when I work during the week, it's all psychoeducational, and then I work every other weekend doing all nursing wellness.
nice.
Yeah.
What's been the most therapeutic thing? I shouldn't say most therapeutic. What has been therapeutic for you in making that transition from combat back to civilian life? Has there been anything that's kind of been therapeutic for you that kind of help you ease back into this life? You talk about two different worlds, right?
Yep. The best thing, and I mention this almost every single time that I have patients in front of me, and it is storytelling, um, or using illustration as a way to tell your story. I like to tell people to timeline their life. Uh,
Ooh,
I I usually say there is a significant memory that brings you back to an age that you recall that either there was something super happy that happened or terribly traumatic. And I tell people, being that I'm coming up on 50, I can remember back to when I was 5, which is pretty good. And I got a bicycle for my birthday, which I was super excited about. My dad was adamant that I learned how to ride it in the same day. So I did, amongst all the, bruises and scrapes and blood. I learned how to ride it that day. And I was trying to show off later on in that week and jumped a ramp and broke my leg.
nice.
So those two memories, coincide, and that's what brings me back to 5. So I started writing my story at 5 years old and seeing the non-typical lifestyle that a child would have. I had some childhood abuse. My mother was an alcoholic and unfortunately succumbed to her disease in 2004. But I looked for the oddities that went on within my childhood, my adolescent years, my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, and I continue to do so and add to my story. So when I meet people, I can let them know who I am in about 8 to 10 minutes from
Mm.
childhood to present day. Um, and I think telling your story over and over and over and over again so it becomes just that. It becomes a story of who you have become and how you have persevered over all those years of chaos, trauma, abuse, bullying, whatever may had been what you were subjected to. Um, you have to look at all of that as a pedestal, like you said earlier, or your soapbox. I was able to get through all of that chaos and become who I am, then I can do whatever I put my mind to.
Oh, yeah, man. I guess we could we could end the podcast there, but no. Is that tie anything to the paintings behind you? Did you paint those?
The Tigers, no, the Tigers actually
Those are
are
those are
um,
sick.
Yeah, they are. My sister also unfortunately succumbed to her disease too last year, but
Sorry to
these
hear that.
were these were actually my best friend's mother who passed away about 10 years ago. They were in my best friend's parents' house as I grew up as a child that were left to me from my sister when she
Wow.
passed away. But yeah, there are some art in here that I did do. Some of this stuff behind you here. um,
Hey.
I took some photography while I was in college and did some photography, and this is
Oh,
some of
nice.
my art over here as well. Um,
Oh, I like that.
yeah, so I dabble in a bunch of stuff, but like you said, if you know that you are one of those guys that live life on the edge. I ride motorcycles, I
Hmm.
snowboard, I play hockey, but
Right.
I make sure that I wear a helmet when I do all these things
Sure.
to
Yes.
prevent. That's
Please. Yes, everyone.
yeah,
Please.
I'm a huge advocate now for wearing helmets.
Yeah. I told people too, some people try to get me on the motorcycle, man. And I'm like, I'm not a guy that needs to be on a motorcycle. I know my personality. I'm a person who they had this thing at Dave and Buster's, and it was this giant thing. It would spin the ball and it would drop and it would hit the jackpot. I remember years ago, I think I spent $60 on it because I kept feeling I could win. So I was like, that gambling, motorcycles, I think I should probably stay away. I know my personality. It's not something I need to dabble in, but respect to everyone who does. But if you do wear a motorcycle, drive a motorcycle, please wear a helmet, man. Protect your brain. Um, yeah, no. I saw the tigers, man. I like those. Those are or no, wait, those lions.
They're tigers.
Tiger.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm right.
yeah.
Sick. Yeah, that's a good view. So you were also an actor.
Yes, I actually started picking up acting during COVID. Ironically,
Mm,
Adam Sandler rented a house on the main line that my wife worked with. He was a surgeon that my wife worked with, so she found out like under the wraps here that he was going to be in Philadelphia shooting a movie. So I sent some pictures in to the casting company that was looking for more people to be involved in. And the first production I was involved in was Hustle while they were
mhm.
here in the city. And I was fortunate enough to be on set for I don't know, about 5 to 7 days. I can't really remember. It
Nice.
took a while, but I was in multiple scenes, and it was a great learning experience. I really look at the movie industry in a completely different look now with how much production goes on just to film a scene. It's really, really wild. So, hats off to the production crew and all those people that put that stuff together. But my job's easy. I just wait and they point and say, do this, do that. Um, and that's usually what I do. Mostly background, extra work. I do some modeling. I just did some modeling for Universal Music Group for the group Kiss. I'll be on their
Nice.
website. They have some merchandise that's coming out. Um, been in a couple of TV shows, pilots that didn't take off. I was trying to get on that show Task.
Hmm.
It was on HBO. I grew up in the area that they're filming in, so I thought I'd be a good part for that. But I am heavily tattooed, and
Right.
when you get tattooed, when you're a tattooed actor, all your tattoos have to be okayed to ensure that there's nothing wrong with the
Well, okay.
tattoos
Yeah.
for but all of mine are art. But
Yeah.
if you did not know this, and I didn't, um, if you watched that series Task, there is a guy that has tattoos from head to toe. He's bald. He has tattoos everywhere. That is all makeup. That is all
Really?
fake
Okay.
tattoos.
Wow.
Everyone that was on that show had fake artwork on their body.
They could have just hired us. They could have just hired you for you. No one
It's
had to do all
wild.
the makeup. You would have saved time. Yeah.
It's absolutely wild what they do. Yeah.
Wow. I would have never guessed that. Yeah.
But a
You were
lot
also
of fun. A lot of
a lot
fun.
of fun.
Yeah.
Nice. You were also in Happy Gilmore too as well.
Yeah, yeah, I got to spend a couple of days on that too, out on the golf courses, which was fun. Um, I was lucky enough to meet Bad Bunny the day that I
Okay,
was out there. Awesome dude, very,
nice.
very nice, fantastic guy. Um, if you've seen Happy Gilmore 2, um, the most that I was in it, you don't really see me because it's so fast, was the spinning golf course. Did you
Okay,
see
yeah,
that yet? Where they were on the
yeah,
tee and it was spinning. So I was there for most of that shoot, and another great guy to work for. Fantastic fellow, Adam Sandler, great guy.
nice. Did you meet him and talk to him a little bit,
I
or
met him on Hustle.
nice?
We were working right next to each other for most of the scene that I was in. And it was his birthday that day, which was cool.
Okay.
And on our way out, right as soon as we cut for the day, this was just pure happenstance. He got a phone call. We were walking down the stairs together, and he answers his call. It's FaceTime, and it's Chris Rock on the other end. And I'm wa- I'm watching
Crazy.
these guys talk to each other, and my mind is blown. I'm next to Adam Sandler talking to Chris Rock, and I'm
Crazy.
just having the time of my life.
Man, that's a story. I think yeah, it's funny. Adam Sandler is always somebody I've enjoyed, but it's good to see him now kind of changing up the roles a little bit. Like
Yeah,
Hustle, Hustle was pretty intense, but he was also in that. I don't know if you saw that movie, either Uncut Jewels or Gems.
gems.
I was
Yeah,
like, man, I kind of like seeing Adam
yeah,
Sandler in that intense.
serious role.
Yeah, I liked
Mhm.
it. So just like they were saying, everyone now too is just realizing that Jim Carrey's been really deep and introspective this whole time.
Yeah,
People just didn't.
yeah,
People just weren't ready to hear it from him. But he's always been really deep. It just the world wasn't ready to not.
yeah.
Wait,
He
you're the
knew.
funny guy. Don't be
Hmm.
too deep right now. So man, uh, we're Happy Gilmore. Was that here? Was that in Pennsylvania as well?
I was on a shoot in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Hustle was filmed here
Oh,
in Philly, most of it.
nice. Now, shout out to Adam Sandler. This is really random, but did you start rollerblading in the 90s or in the 2000s?
I started rollerblading in the 90s.
90s.
Yeah,
Okay.
before rollerblades were like even a thing yet. Um, my neighbor got a pair for Christmas, and they were too big for him. And like
Hmm.
the whole neighborhood would just use them and skate.
Okay.
That's how we all learned. And then if you are from this area, you'll be familiar with this sporting goods store called Modell's.
Hmm.
Um, and that's where we all started purchasing our rollerblades from. And then from there, we all started playing roller hockey. And then roller hockey started becoming bigger. And then we all started playing indoor roller hockey. And then that started getting bigger. And I went off and started playing ice hockey. And I play now with the all disabled veteran group, which is cool.
Wow. Yeah. I started to rollerblade in the 2000s because in the gym class we had just the surplus of just random roller. It was like an elective or something, but they just had these random, really old rollerblades at the time. There's like you could either bowl in the gym, they had these plastic pins. You'd have to like knock them down, or you could rollerblade across the gym. So I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. But and there's also this video game I played in 2002. It's called Jet Set Radio Future, and it had to do with this thing where you're in Japan, and it has these rollerblades that have these magnetic grind plates on them. So you go all around the city doing graffiti, and it's kind of this dystopian thing. So, have you ever heard the aggressive inline? Do you ever
Yeah.
heard that? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. That I haven't done it in a while, but that's kind of more what I was on that whole wave and stuff, and in the 2000s and stuff. So yeah, man, I know I saw that on the profile, but I was like, yeah, I started in the 2000s, the whole trying to grind on rails and that whole thing, man. It's yeah. Were you ever made fun of for rollerblading in the 90s?
Um,
Was that a thing yet or not yet?
Yeah, because nobody played hockey on rollerblades yet.
Right.
No one really even knew what they were. Everyone like because they were still wearing quads. People were
Right.
still
Exactly.
roller skating.
Yeah. Roller
Uh,
skating is different.
and yeah, they made fun of us all the time for having
Yeah.
rollerblades on. Um, but like you said, I was a skater.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. That's where I was going with it. Yeah. That's where I was going with
um
it. Yeah.
but yeah, no man, I we around here we share the love with everybody. Scooters, skaters, whatever you're out doing, we don't care. We don't
That's right.
segregate, man. We love when we see people out doing stuff.
Mhm. When's the last time you rollerbladed?
Oh man.
Been a minute.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I actually bought a pair because I was going to play inline hockey for a little while I wasn't playing ice.
Okay.
And as soon as I put them on, I bought them and I sold them the same day.
Oh wow. Yeah.
And I was like, I can't go back to roller hockey. I got to just continue playing ice.
Hmm. No, I think it's funny that during COVID, that's when it was starting to boom a little bit because
Yeah.
people were really bored, and then people were starting to see a little resurgence, and I was like, okay. I remember around that time, I
Yeah.
think there was the guy, just some random video where some guy was playing a guitar and he was rollerblading, and they're like, oh, people still do this. I was like, and you started to see a little bit of a resurgence and stuff. But man, yeah, it's been a little minute. I think it's been the last time I've been at a park, probably like 5 years.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit, but it's good to see that. I was like, so to kind of understand the whole
Yeah,
scene.
it's super 90s right now.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
everything.
I know. It's like funny thinking. I was like, so that's why I asked. I was like 90s or 2000s, but now, yeah, I don't. It's interesting to see how maybe more Gen Z and stuff like that, if they know about it, what they think about rollerblading, if that's even a thing for them too. So it's interesting to see if that the popularity of it, or if that's still anything. But no, blading, I had a lot of fun times with that, man. A lot of fun times. I definitely wanted to say, man, thank you for stopping by.
Of course.
How would the people reach you? And I'm kind of make this a two-part question. How would the people reach you if they were looking for like mental health help or things like that in what you do?
Yeah, I can leave you my personal email. I don't
Okay.
mind people emailing me.
Okay. Perfect. Are you on social media? Is there any
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, how people can find you?
Yep, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I have all of them are out there.
Okay. Perfect, man. I really enjoy you stopping by and thank you.
Yeah, you got it, man. It's great to meet you.
Yeah. So what
Appreciate it.
I'm gonna do, I'm stopping the recording right now. So I'm
Okay.
gonna so stop recording.